This video is going to be a tutorial on embroidery, and it's going to be your first embroidery. So the absolute basics, getting familiar with the machine, learning how to hoop, and all the things that go along with your first embroidery. So I have in front of me basically all the different tools you're going to need to start out. The first thing you'll need is some kind of garment to test something on, so nothing precious, just something you have lying around. Or the scrap shirts bin over in the lockers. So I just got a sweatshirt in this case. Thicker fabrics are generally easier, so if you can get something thicker, that's good. Have our hoop. These come in 4 or 5 different sizes, and they have the dimensions written on each one. This is usually the one that I use, so that's what we're going to use this time. Stabilizer. This comes in a roll for flat garments and then in sheets for hats. So since we're doing a flat garment, like a hoodie or a t-shirt, we'll use the roll. And then a pair of scissors to cut said stabilizer. And that's all the materials for now. So the first step in the process, once we have all our materials, is the actual hooping process. This is probably the most tedious part of embroidery, especially when you're aiming for a certain placement. In this case, we're going to do it anywhere. So it's not going to be super tricky because we don't have to center it, or we don't have to make it go left chest or right chest or anything like that. But yeah, basically what's going to happen is you're going to separate your hoop into 2 parts. This is kind of like the hoop applicator, if you will, and then this is more so the main piece. So for now, we're just going to take our main piece, and what we're going to do is we're going to lay out our stabilizer. And we're going to put our hoop applicator right over top of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut out a piece about half the distance of your thumb on every side, just a little bit bigger, about 2 inches bigger on all sides. Just like that. Now you can put the stabilizer aside. So the order for hooping is it's going to be the applicator first, and then the stabilizer, and then the layer of fabric that you want to embroider on, and then our top piece. So you're going to take your applicator. What you're actually going to do is, if this is kind of like our tightening mechanism, and right now it's actually a little bit tight. You kind of know that based off how long this screw is. So I'm just going to lefty-loosey this guy until it's a little bit longer or wider. You can see the spring is kind of extending. That's probably good for now. We can just do a little more because it is, the thicker the fabric, the more space you're going to need here. All right, and then when you put this applicator inside, you're going to want to do the screw facing you just to make your life easier. And then you're going to put that first for the bottom of the hoodie here. That's where I'm going to put it, on this side. After that, I'm going to take the stabilizer piece and put it on top, like so. And then with that still in place, we're going to flatten our fabric. So we've done stabilizer, applicator, fabric, and then now we can do the hoop. And so basically what you're going to do is you're just going to push down into that space that we created down there with some force, enough force to kind of, lock it in. And then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little pre-tightening because I loosened it quite a bit. So I'm just going to tighten it a little bit so that way it's locked in place. That should be pretty good for now. And then this next step, it's easy to forget, but it's very helpful, is right now our applicator is sitting at the bottom of the hoop. So what we want to do is we actually want to pull it up to the top. So you do that by pinching right here where you can grab the applicator, and you're just going to, if you watch here, the plastic will kind of disappear as it sinks in. And you kind of push it just like that. So we'll do that on the bottom too. Just sink it in. So now if you look at it, the fabric is flush with the hoop. And that's what you want it to look like. So you can lay this back down. And now we're actually going to tighten it the rest of the way. So we go back to our little screw thing, and we'll do a full tighten. So I'm just going righty-tighty on this. If you want, there's a little flathead screwdriver that you can use to tighten it. So we've tightened that as much as we can. It's definitely not going anywhere. The only other thing that we would maybe have to do is kind of make sure that our fabric is taut. So what you can do is you can actually pull on the fabric just a little bit, not too much, just to make sure that it's taut. And so this is why it's nice to start with the sweatshirt, because you'll notice that it's easier to get this fabric to be taut and even on thicker fabric because it has more like weight to it and thickness, so it's not quite as flimsy. So in this case, you can almost actually look at the fibers to see the direction they're going and to make sure that it's still going straight and you haven't like put it out of whack. But basically, what you should do is hold it up and tap it, and it should feel like, you know, like almost like a tight trampoline of sorts, where there's some pushback, some tension there. And once you have that, you know you're good to go. So we're gonna look at this from the bottom now, and it looks good. This is what it should look like. You should have stabilizers sticking out of all sides, and this should feel tight. And so now we know we've correctly hooped our garment. Now that we have our hooped garment ready to go, we'll take it over to the embroidery machine. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your hoop, and you're gonna put the right side in place. So you're just gonna slide it through there and into this little hole like so. In this case, the right side is always gonna be static and the left side is the one that's gonna adjust. So now that we have this in place, we're gonna come over here to the left side of the attachment, and we're going to unscrew these two plastic screws. Not the whole way, but just partly. So we'll unscrew that one, and we're gonna unscrew that one. So that's gonna do is that's gonna allow us to shift the left side over to the right width. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna line it up to the best I can, like so. And I'm actually gonna pull out the right side and now put them in at the same time. And then when you place this on, you're just gonna make sure that the large side of the garment, so usually the bottom, goes in first, and you wanna guide it through, like so. Now that we have placed this at the right width, we're just gonna slide it under both of these levers, like so, until both sides click. And once that feels solid, then you can retighten those plastic screws. So we'll go over here and just tighten them until they're as tight as we can go. And that's basically gonna tell the embroidery machine the size of our hoop and the size of our work area. Now that this feels tight, now we can turn on the machine. So on the back right of the machine here, we have our on switch, so I'll just click that on. So because it's our first embroidery, we are gonna wait to import our own graphic, and we're just gonna work with the design application on the brother machine. So in this case, for something super basic, we're gonna click this top right corner here with the two A's. And then once it loads, we're gonna pick a type style. We'll just go with something basic like this. And we'll just type out, since this is a test, we'll just type out test, or not, test. So yeah, nothing fun and crazy yet, but that'll be for your next embroidery. For now, we just wanna get the basics down. So once you have your text set, you can just click set. We just wanna make sure that it's under 4 inches, because that was the hoop size we use. We're gonna click this little square button right here, because this is something I do every time I embroider, and it just shows me using one of the needles where the graphic is gonna go. So I'm gonna click this, and you can see it's showing us with that first needle where the actual graphic's gonna go. So it's pushed down, and it's tracing out that square of where our graphic's gonna go. That looks good to me, so we're gonna move on to the sewing screen. So once we get to here, now is when we select our thread colors, and when we would also thread the machine if we didn't have the color we wanted. The sewing screen is our last menu screen. So from here, all you gotta do is click lock and the green button. Our graphic's all done. It looks good. Now we basically just have to take off our hoop and remove the stabilizer. So with that same low screwdriver that we used to tighten it, we're gonna come over here and we're gonna loosen. Once you get it started on there, you can just use your hand. And then this will just come out. And then you'll turn it inside out. And so this is tearaway stabilizer. There's cutaway stabilizer and tearaway. Thankfully, we mainly use tearaway, which means you just, I normally just start with an edge, and then I just start tearing, like so. Boom. And then if you want, you can take out every little piece. Over time, they come out in the wash and different things like that. So technically, you could leave it if you wanted to. But we'll just remove it. And there you go. If you wanted to, you could cut those ends too, but it's really not necessary. And there's our finished graphic. And that's Intro to Embroidery.